Good morning, children. So, in continuation with the study of energy, regarding our study of energy, today I will be discussing a bit about conversion of one form of energy into another form. In our study of solar energy, I discussed that we can use the solar energy in different ways by converting that solar energy to different other forms of energy and use it to our own benefit. So, the first and foremost what we can discuss here is solar energy. The light in solar energy can be used to convert food through plants by a phenomenon, in biology you might have studied photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. This is the first one, solar. I am talking about solar energy. We all know without sun or without the solar energy we can't survive on earth. The first and foremost what we need to understand here is the light in the solar energy or sunlight will be helpful for the plant to convert the minerals and water into food or chemical energy which we are consuming. So through that phenomenon which we might have studied in biology called photosynthesis. So solar energy can be used or can be converted into chemical energy through photosynthesis. This is one form of conversion. And the second form I can tell you, the cycle of rain. You might have noted, you might have studied the cycle of rain in your lower classes, where the water from the sea evaporates and it condenses in the clouds. How it evaporates? Because of the heavy amount of temperature or very high temperature. What happens? The water evaporates into steam. That steam will go and get collected in the clouds, which condenses, which cools down and condenses, and then once again the little energy once again it converts into liquid and falls to earth, which is the cycle of the earth. That is possible only because of the solar energy. So cycle of rain. Then, if you remember in my previous session, I told you that the wind energy is being possible because of the uneven heating of the earth's surface. So at some places the earth gets heated up more, in other places the earth gets heated up less. So what happens? What is the phenomena that is happening here? So let us discuss a bit about here how the air moves from one area to one region to another region. This might be helpful for you in your even in your geography, which you might have studied in your lower classes. See, the surface of the earth gets heated up. So when it gets heated up, its temperature rises to very much high. So the temperature rises to too high, where the layer above the layer of air above the ground surface or above the ground heated up. So when it heats up, what happens? It expands. It expands, its density lowers or its density decreases. So what happens? This layer of air moves to the top by convection. So you might have studied one mode of heat transfer, where the mass transfers by itself on heating, carrying its heat energy. So what will happen? This layer will move to the top. As this layer moves to the top, the subsequent layer just above that layer, above the ground layer, will come and settle down above the ground. So this cycle continues. So there is a circulation of air carrying heat energy. In the same way, this air moves from highly heated areas to the lowly heated areas. So what happens? This air becomes very light or it becomes less denser. So it goes on moving to the area of cooler regions. And even not only this land breezes and sea breezes are possible only because of the uneven heating of the earth. So solar energy, without solar energy we can't sustain, and this solar energy will get converted into other forms of energy before we use it. So you already know that you might be using many solar devices like solar heaters, like solar cookers, solar lights. So these days we are using solar for our electricity purposes. Even in domestic also we are installing solar plates, to get that solar energy and get it converted into electrical energy. by the device called as solar cell. In this way, we can use solar energy into, or we convert solar energy to different types for our own use. Okay, so going to the other forms of conversion. Let me discuss the conversion from mechanical energy to electrical energy. Mechanical energy to solar energy. I hope you have studied this in a lower classes, or if you have not studied, there is a device which converts mechanical energy to solar energy. That device we call it as generator. I'll just explain how this generator works. How can we convert this mechanical energy to solar energy? Let me take the example of our own dam. So we have a dam where water is stored in the upper stream. So that stored water will possess potential energy because of its height, because of its head, because of its level, okay, because of its higher level. To put it in a easier sense, I use that higher level. The water is at higher level. So what it is possessing? It is possessing potential energy. When this water which is stored at higher level is released to the canal or to a very narrow channel, what happens? This potential energy will get converted to kinetic energy. Therefore, we know that flowing water, this flowing water is called as water current. Water current. So anything that flows is called as current. Okay, water current, and this water current possesses kinetic energy. Okay, this flowing water. So I'll come from beginning once again. The stored water in the dam will possess potential energy. When this water is released to a canal or a narrow channel, that potential energy will get converted to kinetic energy because it possesses this water current will possess this kinetic energy, and the kinetic energy of this water can be converted or can be used to run a turbine. I hope you know what is a turbine. So it's a device something like this, which will be a wheel having hands like thing. Okay, so what happens? The water will come and strike this leaves. Water will come and strike this. So what will happen? This will start rotating. So this kinetic energy is converted into rotational energy. So the wheel is moving, the wheel is rotating, and this rotating wheel will be connected to a generator in which an armature moves in a magnetic field. When an armature moves in a magnetic field, electricity will be induced in the circuit. Alright, come again. So armature is nothing but a coil very closely wound on a coil, on a core. So a thin wire or a wire which is closely wound on a core is called a armature, and that armature is placed in a magnetic field. When this armature rotates, because of the magnetic interaction between the two magnetic fields, so current carrying conductor induces a magnetic field around it. So when these two magnetic fields interact with each other, the armature will start rotating, or it will be producing. Okay, so sorry. So what will happen? An electric current will be used in the coil there. So what will happen? So this wheel will turn because of the kinetic energy of the water, and this turning wheel will turn the armature in a magnetic field. That moving armature in a magnetic field induces EMF in the armature, producing electric current in the circuit. This is how the generator produces electric current. So that is a different study altogether. We will study that later. Okay, so what we are studying here, what we are studying here is mechanical energy can be converted into electrical energy. Sorry, this should be electrical energy. Electrical energy. So mechanical energy can be converted into electrical. I'll come again here. So potential energy in the water, when it is released into a channel or a canal, it will be converted into kinetic energy. The flowing water will be having kinetic energy. That flowing water will run a turbine, which will in turn run a generator, and the generator will produce electric current. So this is the process. So we are converting mechanical energy into electrical energy in this way. The same way, we can convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. Electrical energy into mechanical energy. So all the devices what we are using now, like fans, mixies, so whatever are motors or the pumps, whatever you are using now, will be using this concept, that is converting electrical energy into mechanical energy. So the device which converts electrical energy into mechanical energy is called as electric motor. Is called as electric motor. So what is an electric motor? Whenever you place a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, it experiences a mechanical force. So that concept or that principle is used in electric motor, where once again you have a armature, pass the current through the coil or the armature. So what will happen, due to the couple acting on the armature, the armature moves or rotates. So we are converting electrical energy to mechanical energy in that way. Okay, once again I'll explain about this electric motor. So whenever you place a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, it experiences force. So we are using this principle in electric motor. So we pass current through a armature there, which is placed in a magnetic field. Due to that passing of current which is placed in a magnetic field, the armature rotates. So that rotation we are using it for our benefits. So which is called the principle used there, we are converting there electrical energy into mechanical energy there. So the next type of conversion is heat energy to electrical energy. I hope you heard about a device called as thermocouple. Thermocouple means if the two ends of a conductor are placed at different temperature. One end is placed at very cool temperature, while the other end is placed at very high temperature. So there is because of the difference in temperatures, electrons start moving in the conductor. That principle or that concept is conversion of heat energy to electrical energy. So we can convert heat energy to electrical energy through a thermocouple. What is a thermocouple? Thermocouple is a conductor which is placed at two different temperatures, one at very high temperature, one at lower temperature. Due to that difference in temperatures, electrons in the conductor will start moving from one end to the other end, which constitutes electric current. So that is what is heat energy to electrical energy. So let me go to the next one now. The same is the reverse of this, that is electrical energy to heat energy. I hope all of you are aware of this one. So you have microwaves, you have heaters. So you have different devices where you are converting electrical energy to heat energy. So one is electrical heater, water heater. The second one is microwave oven. The third one is electric iron, to iron your clothes. And very important one is your bulb. So where you are converting or where you are using this heat energy to give out the light energy. So what is happening here? Heat is converted to light energy there. So we can convert when we pass. So one by one I will discuss. When we pass electricity through a very long conductor, it will start dissipating heat energy. That principle we are using it in heater. Okay, so that conversion of, that is nothing but conversion of electrical energy to heat energy. Same way, when we pass electricity to and heat it, the coil there, it will start giving out microwaves or micro radiations. So that is the principle used in microwave oven. Once again, the electric iron, you will have number of turns where the current is passing through a very long conductor. Due to passage of current through a very long conductor, we know that the resistance will be directly proportional to the length of the conductor. So when the current is passing through a very lengthy conductor, the resistance will go on increasing. So when the resistance increases, the heat energy will be dissipated. That principle is used in electric iron, heater, and the next one is bulb. So you might have seen a filament in a bulb. So that will be having very high resistivity. So whenever we pass electrical current through that filament, it gets heated up, heated up to red hot, and after it becomes red hot, it will start giving out light energy, light. So that is the principle used there. So this is how we convert electrical energy to heat energy. So I go to the next type of conversion. Sound energy to electrical energy and vice versa, electrical energy to sound energy. So whenever you speak something in a microphone, so your voice or your sound is converted into electrical pulses, and that electrical pulses are carried through the conductor to a speaker, and in that speaker this electrical energy is once again converted to sound energy. Sound energy to electrical energy, what is converting? Microphone or mic. Microphone will convert sound energy to electrical energy, while electrical energy is converted to sound energy to a speaker. The device which converts electrical energy to sound energy is speaker. The device which converts sound energy to electrical energy is microphone. So this is the device which we will be using to make a large gathering listen to what we are saying. So we will be using microphone at the person who is speaking, and will be using speaker at a very long distance, where the electrical pulses are carried through a wire, and this speaker will convert those electrical pulses into sound energy once again. So this is how we convert sound energy to electrical energy and electrical energy to sound energy. So let me go to the next one now. See, now let us discuss a device which is almost everybody's home today. I hope you have heard a device called as inverter. So inverter is a device which changes the direction of current according to our need. Say if electrical supply is there, the current will flow from the mains to the battery. Okay, when an electrical supply is there, the current will flow from the mains to the battery, and when the electrical mains goes off, or when the electrical supply is off, so what will happen? The direction of current changes from the battery to the mains once again. So let us discuss this device a bit here. So there two processes are happening. One is it is changing from electrical energy to chemical energy. The inverter is making the current to pass from mains to the battery. In battery, this electrical energy is changed into chemical energy. Therefore, the electrical energy is stored as chemical energy in the battery or in the cell. So whenever electrical supply goes off or the power goes off, what will happen? The inverter, what it will do? It will change the direction of current. What it will do? it will draw the current from the battery, where the chemical energy is converted to electrical energy. Okay, in the both the phenomena here, conversion of electrical to chemical and chemical to electrical, battery plays a very important role. It is a device, or it is the one which stores electrical energy in the form of chemical energy. Okay, and whenever power goes off, the inverter only one thing it does, it will change the direction of the current according to our use, according to our need. So when supply is there, the flow of current will be from the mains to the battery. So what is happening there? The battery is getting charged up. Okay, so when power goes off or power is gone, so what will happen? It will change the direction of current from the battery to the mains. Okay, where the chemical energy is converted to electrical energy. So what is happening there? The electrical energy is stored as chemical energy. You might have studied the process of electrolysis. We have two electrodes and an electrolytic solution. So whenever you pass current through those electrodes, the electrolytic solution breaks up into ions, and these ions flow towards the cathode and anode. You have cations and anions. They flow towards their respective electrodes, where it is stored as chemical energy there. So whenever, once again, the power goes up, all these ions once again turn up into electrons and they start flowing out to the mains. So this is how electrical energy can be converted into chemical energy, and chemical energy can be converted into electrical energy. Now let us go to the next form of conversion, from one form to another form. The same way, chemical energy to light energy, then light energy to chemical energy. So electrical energy to light energy. Already I have discussed about this one, electrical to light. Let us go back to our bulb once again. So whenever we pass current through a filament which is having very high resistivity, so what will happen? The high resistivity means it will be having very high resistance. Due to that high resistance, the filament gets heated up to red hot and it starts giving out light. So that is how we will be converting from electrical energy to light energy. Okay, that is how we will be converting from electrical energy to light energy. Even your CFLs, that there is different process called as fluorescence. Fluorescence. So where it will be having some gases, where when you pass energy through that, the phenomenon will happen where the electrons jump to their higher levels, higher orbital levels, and they jump back to the original orbital levels, giving a photon of energy. A photon of energy means it is a light energy. Okay, so that is a different phenomena. Your tube lights, your compact fluorescence light, all these will be using a phenomena called as fluorescence. Okay, so this is how you can convert electrical energy to light energy. I gave you two examples here. Your conventional bulb, where you will be converting electrical energy to heat energy. In that process, you will be getting light energy. Okay. The second example I gave you is the fluorescence or your tube lights, where you will be having some inert gas in it. So whenever you pass electricity through that, the electrons in those atoms will jump from lower levels of energy to higher levels of energy, because they gain energy. These electrons gain energy, so they jump back to their original levels. They can't stay in that original higher energy levels. To come back to its original energy levels, what they do? They give out energy in the form of light, in the form of particle of light. That particle of light is called as photon. Okay, so that is what is fluorescence. So that is how you convert electrical energy to light energy. I will discuss this also, light energy to electrical energy. Here we have discussed about solar energy. First I have discussed about solar energy. Let me go back to the solar energy once again. So the light from the sun can be converted to electrical energy by using a device called as photocells. By using a device called as photocells, where you will be having two different materials, where a voltage will be developed between those two materials, or potential difference will be developed between those two materials, and electrons starts flowing in the circuit. So this is how we can convert light energy to electrical energy. So I will go to the next conversion of energy. So I'll discuss one more two conversions of energy and wind up. So we can read, you can very easily understand, and I have sent you the text pages where you need to have where you have a table. So on how the energies convert from one form to another form. I'll just discuss one more form of energy, that is heat energy to mechanical energy, because it will be a bit interesting. Okay, now have you ever thought of how an engine runs? An engine runs. Very simple here. When a petrol air mixture is compressed to high pressure and a small flame is lit, so what will happen? It will light up. It will combust. It will have combustion. When the combustion happens, that heat energy will be dissipated, and that dissipated energy pushes the piston down, where we convert heat energy to mechanical energy. Heat energy to mechanical energy in IC engines. All IC internal or IC, the long form of IC engine is an internal combustion engine, where you convert this heat energy to mechanical energy. This heat is produced by using air fuel mixture. Okay, air fuel mixture. Air fuel means it may be either petrol or diesel. Okay, and you have got steam engines also, where you run the engine by steam, with high pressure steam. You boil the water, you get very high pressure steam, and that high pressure steam is used to run the engine. So that is called a steam engine, where you are converting once again heat energy to mechanical energy. Even in your internal combustion engines, like petrol engines, like your bikes, your cars. If it is a diesel car, it is a diesel engine. If it is a petrol car, it is a petrol engine. This will happen there. What will happen? Your fuel air mixture will be compressed to very high pressure, and a small flame is lit by using your spark plug. A small spark is lit. So it bursts into a very high heat energy, which will push the piston down, converting heat energy to mechanical energy. This is how we convert heat energy to mechanical energy. And in the lastly, I want to discuss a bit about degrading of energy, degradation of energy. What is degradation of energy? See, all the energy, say we are converting this heat energy to mechanical energy. I'll just give you an example of your same bike once again. So you are converting, so lot of heat is lost to your silencer, you observed or not. Okay, lot of heat is lost to your silencer, lot of heat energy is going in the form of smoke there. Okay, that energy is lost. That is, all the heat energy that is produced is not converted into mechanical energy. Okay, in fact, to be precise a bit here, only 40% of this heat energy is converted to mechanical energy. The all other 60% is lost. Lost in running the engine, lost in the form of heat through the engine space or engine parts, lost in overcoming the friction due to the road. Your tire will be running on the road, right? So it need to overcome that friction. Okay, that is lost in that way. So this lost energy, we can't use that lost energy. For example, the energy which is going out through your smoke in a bike, or your vehicle. So that energy we can't use that. That unused energy, okay, that unused energy is called as degraded energy, which we can't use. I'll give one more very easy example. If you throw a stone onto the sand, there you have potential energy here. You have left the stone. It got converted to kinetic energy, and it is falling to the sand. What happened to that energy? What happened to that kinetic energy? It is dissipated in the form of heat, or it pushed the sand particles around it. Which energy we can't use? That energy which is wasted or which can't be used is called as degradation of energy or degraded energy. Okay, so due to this degradation, we are losing a lot of energy. So just imagine, we can use only 40%, means the IC petrol engine is only 40% efficient. All other 60% is lost. Okay, see, just imagine how much of energy we are losing. So that is called as degraded energy. Okay, so here we are winding up our theory part of work, power and energy. So I'll continue with the problems today. I'll do a few problems, at least 3 to 4 problems today, and I'll continue with another 4 problems in the next session. See the problem now. Find the gravitational potential energy of 1 kg mass kept at a height 5 meters. So this is the 5 meter height is given as 5 meters above the ground. Calculate the kinetic energy. Okay, calculate the kinetic energy. He is asking us to calculate the kinetic energy when it falls and hits the ground. So he has given G is equal to 10 meters per second. So what is the mass of the body? Mass of the body M is equal to 1 kg. Height at which it is placed, height h is equal to 5 meter. He has given acceleration due to gravity G is equal to 10 meter per second square. So what is the question he is asking? He is asking us to calculate the first the potential energy. He is asking us to calculate what is the potential energy? U is equal to mgh. Okay, so what is m is given? 1 into what is g? G is nothing but 10 into 5. Height is nothing but 5. Therefore, you get it as 50 joule. 50 joule. Okay, now here we have solved the first part of the question. What is the first part of the question? He has asked us to calculate gravitational potential energy. That is what I have done. U is equal to, we have the formula for gravitational potential energy as mgh. That m mass is nothing but 1. The acceleration due to gravity is 10 meter per second square and height is 5. So we got it as 50 joules. See the second question. It's very interesting. He has asked us to calculate the kinetic energy, but nowhere he has given us the velocity. What we need to understand here is whatever energy it possesses at a certain height will be converted into kinetic energy before reaching the ground. Therefore, the kinetic energy also will be equal to 50 joules. Okay, so the potential energy what it had at a certain height will be converted into kinetic energy just before it reaches the ground. So therefore, it will be having the same amount of kinetic energy. Therefore, the kinetic energy also will be equal to 50 joules. The potential energy we got it as 50 joules. The same amount of potential energy will be converted to kinetic energy, which is also equal to 50 joules. Now we see the next question. A body of mass 5 kg falls from a height of 10 meters to 4 meters. Calculate the loss in potential energy of the body B. The total energy possessed by the body at any instant. Okay. Now, what is the height? First height he has given. Height h1 is equal to, what is the height from mass of 10 meters? Is equal to 10 meters. Height h2 is equal to, so to what it is falling? It is falling to 4 meters. Okay, so the initial height of the body was 10 meters. Okay, the initial height of the body was 10 meters. Then it fell to a height of 4 meters. So what is asking us? He is asking us to calculate the loss in potential energy. So the loss in potential energy is nothing but, if you remember, we had half mg h2 or h1 minus h2. If you remember this formula, loss in potential energy is equal to loss in U is equal to mg into h1 minus h2. What is m we have? What is the mass he has given? Mass is 5 kg. M is equal to 5 kg. So G he has given it as, so he has I have not written G. G take it as 10 meter per second square. So G he has given it as 10 meter per second square. So what we need to calculate? M is 5 into 10. M is 5 into 10. What is h1? 10 minus 4. So it is 50 into 6. It is 300 joules. Okay. So once again I explain it. The body was at a height of 10 meters. So it was having more potential energy. Then it fell to a height of 4 meters. So what is asking us? He is asking us to calculate the loss in potential energy of the body. So because it has lost its height, obviously it will lose its potential energy. What is the second question he is asking? The total energy possessed by the body. The total energy means the energy possessed by the body when it was at an initial height. Okay, let me calculate that one. total energy possessed by the body is equal to possessed at any instant. Body is equal to, once again it is mg into h1, that is mass is 5 kgs into 10, g is 10 into what is the height, initial height, into 10. So that is nothing but 500 joules. Therefore, the total energy possessed by the body initially was nothing but 500 joules, because the body was at 10 meters in the initial stage. The body was at 10 meters in the initial stage. Therefore, it possessed an energy of 500 joules. Then it fell to a height of 4 meters. Therefore, the energy dropped from 500 to 300 joules. Okay. So, for today, I will conclude this session. Tomorrow, I will continue with the problems. I will do another 4 or 5 problems so that we can shift to the next chapter. So, today or tomorrow, I will be giving you an assignment which all of you should work on that assignment and post it back in the WhatsApp group, so that we will be making the note of the students who have worked and who are not worked, and all those assignments will be checked when you come back to the classes. Okay, thank you, one and all. Have a good day.